Hello, people of the world, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Anyway, today I will be recommending some horror films because why not? And this video should be coming out October. If not, then it took longer to make. These films will only be the first ones, there won't be any sequels in this. And there won't be any holiday films, so no Krampus or anything like that. The only holiday films will be Halloween-based ones. Also, some of these will be quite obvious choices, but that's mostly because this is for people who might not like horror as much and want to watch some horror films, or just because. But yeah, these aren't in any order, they're just in whatever, but yeah.
Good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
Halloween is a very obvious choice for a slasher movie, but that's because it's a classic. The basic plot is a mental patient breaks out and begins to stalk the main character, Laurie Strode. If you haven't seen this film, you should. It's pretty good. Some might not like the kind of slow pacing, as it tries to build up to a lot more stuff than straight away starting with it. But it's definitely a film for Halloween. I mean, its title is Halloween, but yeah, good film.
Comes a tall, handsome man in a dusty black coat with a red right hand.
Scream is great, with it being somewhat meta and referencing classic horror films, along with it kind of having a murder mystery type vibe with the killer's identity being unknown. But if you haven't seen it, very fun film. There's also sequels to this, same with Halloween, why I didn't mention, but the sequels for Scream very much builds onto the characters, so if you have time, see those also.
Please, God.
This is God.
Nightmare on Elm Street is another classic horror film made by Wes Craven, who also made the Scream film. It focuses on the character Nancy Thompson getting haunted by a killer in her dreams, with the killer slowly killing off characters in the film. If you haven't seen this, once again, very much should. Very good film. Introduces the classic slasher villain Freddy Krueger. It does a very good job at playing with the audience viewer, as at a point it becomes very hard to tell what is a dream or not. What is one of the great things about Elm Street is the whole part that, cause it's a dream, there's many things you could do with that. But yeah, great film, should check out. The original Psycho is basically the start of the slasher genre. It does a great build up to kills, and this film has definitely changed and made slasher films what they are. Same with most of these films. These films have definitely helped with the genre, but this film is definitely something what will probably be remembered, as it's been referenced in like countless of stuff. even you haven't seen this film, most people have heard of it or at least know the references to it. The film is black and white, so I know some people will be put off by that, but I very much suggest you see this. Yeah, very good film.
The film which you are about to see is an account of the tragedy which befell a group of 5 youths, in particular Sally Hardesty and her invalid brother Franklin. It is all the more tragic in that they were young, but had they lived very, very long lives, they could not have expected, nor would they have wished to see as much of the mad and macabre as they were to see that day. For them, an idyllic summer afternoon drive became a nightmare. The events of that day were to lead to the discovery of one of the most bizarre crimes in the annals of American history, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a great film with a very gritty, kind of realistic look to it. I know that makes no sense calling a live action film realistic, but it's hard to explain. It has this realness to it. It's yellowish orange lights of the sky basically help the film a lot, also with colour. It's a great horror film. Leatherface is amazing, but so is the other family members that a lot of people forget, even though I believe without them this film just wouldn't work, cause you kinda need them to balance everything else and add to the kind of madness of the family altogether. If you haven't seen it, you should, but yeah, great horror film. Child's Play introduces the classic killer doll Chucky, aka Charles Lee Ray. This film is very fun. The child actor Andy Barclay is actually pretty good. Same with like most of the cast, they all do great jobs. If you haven't seen this, then I very much suggest you should, as this is basically the film what started the killer doll craze. There was definitely other films probably in the past with the idea of a killer doll, but Chucky kind of very much started the whole idea of it started that's basically influenced a bunch of media. But yeah, very good film. Also there is a sequel, like other films there's a sequel, but Child's Play 2 is a sequel what is very good. Some people consider it better than the first. I don't know where my standpoint is on that, but it's definitely a very good film and adds on to the whole thing of this killer. But yeah. Hush focuses on a deaf woman who gets stalked by a killer, with her eventually needing to fight off this killer. And from that alone, the film is great. The idea of a deaf character needing to deal with a killer without using sound to her advantage is an interesting idea, and film does do a good job at using the concept. The killer in the film's quite interesting. We don't know much about him, that's all I will say. But for a killer it is interesting. I would say he's quite different from most slashers, I feel like. But yeah, film overall is pretty good, and the main concept of it's very fun. Though I will say, at least for me, at times the film has this thing of where it's too dark to a point you can't see much very well. Now, I don't know if that was just because of what I was watching it on, but yeah, that was just me. If that's just me, it might not be. By the way, pretty good film.
Tell you how long I've waited for this time to cut out the cancer.
Malignant is a sort of murder mystery film, as main slasher is unknown of who it is, but overall the film has somewhat of a goofy vibe, but it takes itself very serious, and that's why it works, because that's kind of the whole point. It's meant to be stupid, but it's all just meant to be fun. You may just go along with it and have fun. The film very much knows it's not that serious and definitely not amazing, but I think also it is somewhat amazing because of how fun it is. If you're looking for a horror film you can kind of just have fun with and watch, this is definitely it. But yeah, very enjoyable.
In reality, aren't you talking about terrorizing innocent people?
No.
No. Why? Why is that funny?
Look, you came to me to find out how guys like Mike and Chucky and Freddy do what they do, not why. I can't just sit here on the first night I ever met you and explain it to you. It's got to come from your own understanding of the process. Or not. It's up to you.
All right. Tell us then. How do you do it?
Behind the Mask, Rise of Leslie Vernon is very fun. The film is shot as if it was a documentary. One of the many things that make this film quite unique. The film focuses on a slasher killer who's trying to make a name for himself. We as an audience get to see how he plans out stuff as the documentary crew follow him. This film is very much also a comedy, as it does reference a bunch of other classic horror films, while also kind of joking on some of the tropes in them. I don't want to say much about it in case I spoil anything, but if you like slasher films and you like found footage, you might enjoy this.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
Night of the Living Dead is a classic, though some might not like it that much as it is in black and white. I know not everyone likes black and white movies, but if you are a zombie fan you should check it out. It does a great job at showing the horror of being stuck in a small place while undead people walk around wanting to kill you and eat you. The whole dynamic with all the people is very well done, showing how everyone would deal with such a situation. The film also is pretty easily to find, like you can find it on YouTube for completely free, as it's in the public domain. A great film if you're a zombie fan. Once again, should check it out. Return of the Living Dead. And before you ask, no, this isn't a sequel to Night of the Living Dead, but they do mention the film. This film is very mad at points, with all the characters kind of being somewhat goofy and silly, as it does have very much more of a comedic tone, well, also still being a horror film. The zombies in the film are all very interesting looking and somewhat unique. The basic plot is a worker releases a deadly gas that causes the dead to come back to life, along with infecting people. I don't want to say much about the film, as I don't really want to spoil anything about it, as I think watching it by yourself and seeing how kind of insane it can be at moments is very funny. If you just want a fun, weird zombie film that is very insane at points, then this is the film for you.
Mrs. French's cat is missing. The signs are posted all over town. Have you seen Honey? We've all seen the posters, but nobody has seen Honey the cat. Nobody. Until last Thursday morning, when Miss Colette Piscine swerved her car to miss Honey the cat as she drove across a bridge. Well, this bridge, now slightly damaged, is a bit of a local treasure and even has its own fancy name, Pont de Flac. Now, Colette, that sounds like culotte. That's panty in French. And piscine means pool. Panty pool. Flac also means pool in French, so Colette Piscine in French panty pool drives over the Pont de Flac, the pont de pool, if you will, to avoid hitting Mrs. French's cat that has been missing in Pontypool. 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 Pantypool. Pont de Flac. What does it mean? Well, Norman Mailer, he had an interesting theory that he used to explain the strange coincidences in the aftermath of the JFK assassination. In the wake of huge events after them and before them, physical details, they spasm for a moment, they sort of unlock, and when they come back into focus, they suddenly coincide in a weird way. Street names and birth dates and middle names, all kind of superfluous things appear related to each other. It's a ripple effect. So, what does it mean? Well, it means something's going to happen. Something big.
Pontypool has a very unique tone/feel to it. I don't really know how to exactly explain it, and I don't really want to go into the plot that much, as I feel like it could ruin the vibe of the overall film, but it's definitely an interesting take on zombies, and all the actors do a very good job with it having this almost kind of claustrophobic feel, as the characters are kind of stuck. It's hard to explain, I don't want to go into the film too much, but I very much suggest you see it. "28 Days Later" is great. It has a very down-to-earth feel with it, with every shot feeling somewhat real, with an almost documentary kind of style to it. They show how truly dangerous zombies can be, though technically they aren't zombies, as it's a virus and doesn't technically involve anything about the dead coming back to life. But it still is basically zombies. If you want a darker and grittier type zombie film, then this will probably work for you. And if you're just a zombie fan, you'll probably want to see this, because it's very good. Same with anyone who's wanting a horror film, very much suggest this.
White lines, visions, dreams of passion flowing through my mind, and all the while I think of you. Oh, that's right, haven't you had your tea? Something of a phenomenon, telling your body to come along, 'cause white lines blow away, shush. Blow! I get higher, baby. I get higher, baby. I get higher, girl. What's he do? Just say base or freeze. What a tip.
Shaun of the Dead is brilliant. Blending horror and comedy genre is perfect. The film's quick pace and style of editing just works brilliantly, with it also being able to slow down when the film gets more serious. This film is a great comedy along with being a great zombie film, and shows the many reasons why people like the genre. If you like this film, 'cause I know a lot of people probably know about it, there is a trilogy of this kind of style called Cornetto Trilogy. Now these aren't connected, but they all share the same actors and director, the films being Hot Fuzz and World's End, both also being very good. If you haven't seen this film, very much suggest checking it out. Same with the films a part of its trilogy, but even if you just like zombie films, then you should check this film out. Reanimator is very good. It's gory, strange, while also having this dark sort of comedy to it. The character Herbert West is great. He is insane, but all of his comebacks to the characters are hilarious, and you totally see that he doesn't care if his science affects anyone. He only cares if it improves or he can test that. But that's what makes it great. If you like gore, then this, you'll definitely like this. If you like zombies, you'll like this. And if you like dark comedy / comedy, I guess, then this is a great choice to watch. The best way to explain the film Brain Dead is that it's insanity, violent, and hilarious. I don't want to talk too much about plot so I don't spoil anything, but it's very fun while also being very violent, as a very strange style of filming to it, but works so well for the type of film it is. Also, this film is directed by Peter Jackson, and yes, it's the Lord of the Rings Peter Jackson, though this film is very extremely different. If you're looking for comedy, violence and gore along with some slapstick humour, then this film is definitely for you. The Ring is a somewhat simple film, but the way it slowly builds into the mystery of the tapes is great and very engaging. It does that while also introducing characters and their dynamic. If you like mystery type films, then I will definitely say you probably like this. Also, it does have some drama elements in it. I do know this is technically a remake of a Japanese film. Now, I hadn't seen the original, so I can't judge that one, but this one's pretty good. I like it. So yeah, if you want a paranormal mystery kind of drama horror, then this will work.
We might read another one tonight, eh?
But you said I could choose.
This is what he wears on top. He's funny, don't you think? See him in your room at night?
Mom, does it hurt the boy? Mom, does it live under the bed? Mom? Mummy! Mummy!
The Babadook is a strange film. The overall style of it, I would call is cold, if that makes sense, while also giving this kind of unnerving feeling. While all that happens, there is this big question of what's real, is this happening? And it works really well along with the main actress, Essie Davis. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but she does an amazing job as the main character. And the film's strange but works quite well, and the kind of whole style altogether makes this film very good. But yeah, check it out. It's different from most horror films, but that's what makes it work.
Police finally went up on the mountain, and they searched his house, and they found the bodies of 7 kids from the area.
The Blair Witch Project is a fantastic film, and possibly one of the best found footage films. That could be argued though. It does a great job at making everything feel real, while also building intrigue as the characters and viewers question what is actually happening in the forest they're stuck in. Now, the film does have many scenes that are quite slow and focuses on small things, but all builds into the realism, and if you like found footage films, I do suggest you watch this. Though I don't think everyone will like this type of film. The Exorcist is basically the start of the demonic possession idea for horror films. Now I can't say if that's true, there may have been other films in the past, but either way, this film is great with the lighting and overall style of how it's filmed. The characters are all interesting with them getting development, while also focusing on the demonic possession as it slowly gets more control over the devil. The film is actually getting a sequel, aka a requel, so hey, maybe watch it for that reason, though I don't know how good that sequel will be. By the way, very good film and a horror classic, so yeah, a lot of reasons to see it. House is a very strange film and takes ideas of a haunted house to an entire another level, with it having so many weird and strange ideas mixed together, but in my opinion still working very well. The basic plot is an author moves into a house and tries to write a story based on the times when he was in Vietnam. But slowly strange things begin to occur and more craziness begins to happen. I very much suggest watching this film or just checking it out, but I know it might not be everyone's kind of style. But to me, it's a pretty fun and just good film overall.
I'll bite, Judd. What's the bottom of the truth?
Well, sometimes that is better.
Pet Sematary has such a great style to it, with this strangely kind of calm atmosphere, what begins to slowly disappear as horror is brought into it. The visuals of this film are great, the shots of the forest and overall locations work very well. There's something that happens in film that can be very shocking if you haven't seen it, so I won't spoil it if you don't know. But I do suggest to check this film out. I think it does a very good job at doing something unique while also having some classic kind of horror elements in it. But yeah, very good film. The film Last Night in Soho I wouldn't call the most scariest film there is, but it's definitely a very fun and visually great film with some good acting. The film is directed by Edgar Wright, so it has this somewhat fast and quick pace, what I do think helps with some of the film's dance scenes, and overall the film has some very fun and great visuals. It's certainly something unique. I think it is very good, and I wouldn't call it his best film, but it definitely has some stuff what makes it very interesting and unique to the horror genre altogether. Insidious is a great haunting film, and this is probably helped by the fact it's directed by James Wan, who has made many great horror films. The scares all work very well, with even the more calm moments in the film can quickly become more chaotic and horror in nature. The film's basic plot is that after a family moves to a house, one of their sons goes into a coma out of nowhere, and slowly the house begins to show its more dark and creepy side to the family, and they have to figure out what's going on. Very good, has a great style to it, and yeah, a good horror film. The Ritual is a hard film to describe. The idea is pretty simple, with a group of friends getting lost in the woods, but all the actors do a very good job, and some scenes in the film almost give me found footage vibes, even though it isn't found footage. I don't know why, just somehow this film at points gives me the feel of a found footage film. I don't want to explain too much of the plot, as I think it's best watching it yourself as the characters and yourself slowly figure out what's going on. I think that just works best. But yeah, I quite like this film, does a very good job. Yeah. Hereditary is great. It's visually very well done, with certain scenes being just perfect, and the way it uses its quietness at points works perfectly. There's also the fact that in some shots you can see stuff what tease future scenes, what just adds to the mystery and strangeness of this film. There's definitely certain scenes what a lot of people find shocking, but that also works very well. If you haven't seen this film and like horror, I suggest you do. I don't want to say much, as I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, it's a very interesting and great experience. The Shining is a great film, almost basically perfect. The way it looks and how it makes the characters feel so small in the massive hotel, but also feeling almost claustrophobic as they are trapped in the horror. All the actors do great. The way it slowly becomes more and more unnerving as it slowly passes each day is just perfect. Most people have seen this film, but if you haven't, you should. All the performances are great, and yeah, just a very good film. The Thing is great. It's somewhat slow pace with it very much slowly building up to certain events, but what makes the film works. The basic plot is a remote base in Antarctica. A group finds a dog and slowly more strange things begin to happen, with them finding an abandoned base and much more. This film is great and all the actors do a good job. As a very good feeling of isolation and just, yeah, it's good. You should check it out. Most people know about Alien, but if you haven't seen it, you probably should. It's a classic with great practical effects and visuals. The overall vibe of the spaceship they're on is just dark and creepy. It works great. And the main actress, Sigourney Weaver, is amazing as the character Ripley.
Oh, pizza.
From dark and creepy to strange and fun, the film Killer Clowns from Outer Space definitely isn't meant to be taken serious, but the strange, colourful visuals along with the great designs for the clowns make it a great film. If you're going to watch this film, just have fun and roll with the madness of it all. But yeah, very fun film.
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the Horror-thon. And remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Now, before you ask, no, this is not a sequel. This is technically Halloween 3. It's not connected and is a completely different story. So yes, this counts. The reason I've put this in the sci-fi genre because it does have elements of sci-fi, though it is also very much a bunch of other stuff combined. The film is quite strange at times, but is very fun with some interesting ideas. If you're looking for just a fun Halloween film to watch that isn't super serious, well, it takes it so serious, but there is kind of this weirdness to it, then yeah, this will work. The Faculty is a strange film but fun. The CGI isn't great, so I know that will put a lot of people off it, but it is interesting. The movie's quite similar to Scream, and that's probably because it's written by the same person who made the Scream script. But it's just very interesting and fun. Most of the actors do a pretty good job, but if you haven't seen it and you like Scream and just looking for sci-fi and don't mind that the CGI hasn't aged perfectly, then you'll probably find it pretty good. I think it's a fun film. I wouldn't call it perfect by any means, but it's enjoyable. Annihilation is an interesting film. The basic plot is a biologist signs up to a secret expedition to explore a possible toxic area. As they explore the strange area, they begin to question about the thing that caused it, and more of a horror element begins to show itself. The film is shot very nice, with the kind of toxic area being very strange but beautiful at times. The main cast do a pretty good job. The slow build up as they start to notice how things work and the place is very well done. There is CGI at points, with it being good at times, but there's also times where it looks very off. I know that will make some people not want to watch it, but I think it's very much still enjoyable. The Fly is a grotesque and amazing, while also being sad film. The basic plot is a scientist has been able to make a teleportation device, but after teleporting himself, he slowly starts to change. This film is slow at times, but that's why it works. The horror of seeing a character you've gotten to know becoming someone else, and that paired with the great and gross practical effects, just makes the horror work very well. If you don't like gross things or too much gore, then you probably won't like this. But if you can handle it and don't mind the slow build up, then you will definitely like it.
Michael Rennie was ill the day the earth stood still, but he told us where we stand. And Flash Gordon was there in silver underwear. Claude Rains was the invisible man. Then something went wrong for Fay Ray and King Kong. They got caught in a cellular jam. Then at a deadly pace, it came from outer space. And this is how the message ran. Science fiction.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show is just fun. All the actors seem like they're having fun, just going with the sort of campy, fun style of film. I wouldn't call this film scary, but is classified as a horror movie and does have elements. If you want a not serious film that's just campy and fun along with being a musical and horror, then this will work very well.
In an early year of a decade not too long before our own, the human race suddenly encountered a deadly threat to its very existence. And this terrifying enemy surfaced, as such enemies often do, in the seemingly most innocent and unlikely of places.
Like Rocky Horror Picture Show, Little Shop of Horrors is very much more fun and less scary. It's campy and has some great puppeteering. Also, the main cast all do a great job. We're getting just another fun horror musical. Now, technically there has been multiple versions and takes on the Phantom of the Opera. There's the actual Universal one, but then there is the actual stage shows, what are great, and this is what I first saw of the character. I know there's other films besides the Universal one, but I haven't seen them, so I can't suggest them. But if you want a musical sort of gothic horror, the stage shows are pretty good, though. Because there's been different versions of stage show, it's very hard to suggest this film, but yeah, it's still very good and should be remembered. So just to quickly explain this section, these are basically any films that involve vampires, werewolves, aka wolfmen, creatures from the Black Lagoon, mummies, and Frankenstein's monster. Now, I hadn't seen all the original Universal films of the classic monsters. There's definitely still somewhat probably hold up quite well, though I know many people probably won't like them as they're in black and white, most of them, and the older style can put some people off. So, yes, I do suggest checking the originals out, but these are just films what involve vampires or some of the classic monsters. Lost Boys is fun and chaotic at the same time. This film was the thing that tried to modernize vampires. Well, technically not anymore, because this film was made in 1987, so vampires are based in that time era. But overall, the film is quite fun. Stylistically, it's very well made, and it's just a very good vampire film. Monster Squad is fun and isn't exactly serious. The main focus is that basically most of the classic Universal monsters have teamed up with a group of kids trying to stop them after they found out about their existence. It's very fun with some great monster designs and references to old classic horror. But yeah, just a great fun film if you're just looking for like a kind of classic Halloween film what is just the original monsters, then yeah, this works. Fright Night is another vampire film, and it's a very good one. The basic plot is that a teenager finds out that his neighbour is a vampire, and is now trying to convince people, with many not believing him. The film is fun with some lines sort of being comedic with how confident the neighbour is, and the fact that main character Charlie is trying to convince people that vampires are real. And that is Neighbors one. Overall, very fun vampire film, and is like a very classic while also being unique film.